Good evening. Good evening. We're going to have the agenda review session for Wednesday, January 20, 2016, in Brunswick City Council. We got quite a bit to get through tonight. I'm going to do my best to do a speed reading. We got first reading 601, ordinance to amend and supplement revised general ordinance of the City of Brunswick, Title 15, Buildings and Construction, Abandoned Properties Rehabilitation Ordinance. 603, ordinance to amend and supplement revised general ordinance of the City of Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 24, no parking any time. I got 602, salary ordinance, FMBA 217 for 2015 through 2021. 604, an ordinance to amend and supplement revised general ordinance of the City of Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 8B, loading zones, Wilson Street. 605, ordinance amending ordinance 0127-802, fixing salaries and wages of various employees represented by the Municipal Employees Association for 2015-2018. Resolutions. 26, approve agenda minutes. 27, approve payroll. 28, authorize refund for redeemed tax certificates. 620, reorganization matters. 629, authorize establishment of petty cash accounts for various departments. 630, authorize professional service agreement with William J. Hamilton, Special Counsel, PSA for 2016, not to exceed $30,000. Fair and open. 631, authorize professional service agreement with Charlie Dean, Assistant City Attorney, PSA for 2016, not to exceed $30,000. Fair and open. 632, authorize professional service agreement with Bausch, Zucker, Hatfield, LLC, 2016 Labor Council, $25,000. Fair and open. 633, authorized professional service agreement with Hogan, Longo, Moran, Dunks, Dukas for 2016 Special Counsel for Tax Appeals, Division of Assessment, not to exceed $50,000, fair and open. 634, authorized professional service agreement with DeFranco Bateman, all those other people, for 2016 Special Counsel for Tax Appeals, Division of Assessments, not to exceed $5,000, fair and open. 635, authorized professional service agreement with BRB Valuation and Consulting Services. 2016 real property appraisal service for tax appeals, Division of Assessments, not to exceed $50,000, fair and open. 636, authorized professional service agreement with Reality Appraisal Code. 2016 property inspection services, Division of Assessments, $10,000, fair and open. 37, authorized professional service agreement with Civil Solutions, Division of Adams, Raymond and Hagen Associates Incorporated for 2016 tax map maintenance and GIC maintenance services, Division of Assessments, not to exceed $40,000, fair and open. 638, authorized professional service agreement with Spatial Data Logic Incorporated, 2016 maintenance and support services, municipal software, Division of Assessments, not to exceed $42,000, fair and open. 39, authorized professional service agreement with Robert Wood Johnson Physician Enterprise, PA, for 2016 physician services, not to exceed $45,500, fair and open. 40, authorized professional service agreement with First Bite Corporation, 2016 tax, water, and sewer billing and collection software maintenance and software support services, not to exceed $28,415, fair and open. 41, authorized professional service agreement with Hatchmont McDonald Holdings Incorporated, doing business as Hatchmont McDonald LLC, for 2016 engineering and support services for the water utility, not to exceed $146,000, fair and open. 42, award professional service agreement with Remington, Vernick, and Venna. 2016 engineering site inspections for approved plans funded by escrow, fair and open. 43, authorized professional service agreement with Lentz, Goldman, Spitzer, 2016 bond council, amount is $26,000, fair and open. 44, authorized professional service agreement with Samuel Klein and Company for 2016 municipal order, not to exceed $137.75, fair and open. 45, advising consent to municipal prosecutors and municipal public defender appointments. Municipal prosecutors, names: Robert Goodwin, Robert Erdocio, Mark Cintron. Municipal public defenders: Richard Vitek, or Vitek, James Harding, how do you say it? Veach, I'm sorry, Veach. But there is a Vitek, that's a word. Right? Yeah. James Harding expires December 31st, 2016, 1 year. 46, advising consent to the Board of Ethics reappointment, Donna Pinkavage, expires December 31st, 2020, a 5-year term. 47, excuse me, advising consent to Parks and Gardens Commission appointments. Excuse me. Keith Jones, II, expires September 3rd, 2018, 3 years. Susan Painter, December 31st, 2018, 3 years. Salvatore Salsa, December 31st, 2018, 3 years. Charles Bergman, December 31st, 2017, 2-year. Dorothea Burkout, December 31st, 2017, 2-year. Julius Moy, December 31st, 2017, 2-year. Floribel Cruz, December 31st, 2016, 1-year. Vince Rafiki, December 31st, 2016, 1-year. Michael Tublin, December 31st, 2016, 1-year. At the end of the reorganization matters. 48, approved right-of-way use agreement requested by Verizon Wireless. Reason, use of existing facilities erected in the public right-of-way for small work network nodes. 49, approved payment for emergency procurement recreation division. Replace air conditioning unit for the teen center with Nancis Brothers Incorporated, not to exceed $12,000, purchase order D81109, non-pro-tunc. 50, approved award of contract with Absolute Fire Protection Company for fire aerial ladder ladder device repair services. Term is 12-month period commencing January 21st, 2016 and ending January 20, 2017. Specification number is 468-15P, not to exceed $25,000. 51, approved off-premise raffle 50/50 at the Helmich Hotel and Conference Center, 10 Minutes Avenue, for State Theater Regional Arts Center at New Brunswick. The date is February 13, 19, 27, 28, and March 5, 11, 17, April 9 and 30, 2016. 52, authorize execution of Municipal Employees Association contract, Local 108. Term is January 1st, 2015 to December 31st, 2018. 53, approved request for use of city property requested by Rutgers Hillel. The Rucker location is Beulah Park Pavilion, the 5K run and walk and 1 mile run and walk. Date is Sunday, April 10, 2016. Time 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. 54, approved request for use of city property requested by Garden State Track Club. Location is Beulah Park and Pavilion. The 6th annual The Road Relays Running Race. Date Sunday, March 13, 2016. Time is 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. 55, approved request for use of city property requested by Community Options Incorporated. Location Beulah Park and Pavilion for Cupid's Chase National 5K Race. Date Saturday, February 13, 2016. Time is 6 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Pavilion, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. track. 56, approved emergency temporary appropriations for 2016. 57, approved amendment of resolution R-101-556. Reason is to pay additional legal fees in the amount of $2,337.50 to Lawrence Bitterman Esquire for Detective Christopher Bornheim in the matter of Rodriguez versus the City of New Brunswick, from $20,748.50 from $23,086. 58, approved resolution to authorize a refund of escrow to Baird Street Associates LLC. The amount is $4,559.27. 59, approved transfer of appropriation reserve for 2015 budget. 60, approved request for use of city property and closure of streets requested by CJI Racing. Location Beulah Park Seminary Place. Seminary Place and various other streets for 7th annual Unite Half Marathon and 8K race. Date and time is Sunday, April 17, 2016 from 5 a.m. to 12 p.m. Date and time Saturday, April 16, 2016, Sunday, April 17, 20, that should be 2016. From 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Seminary Place street closure. Date and time Sunday, April 17, 2016 from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. George Street closure. Date and time April 17, 2016 from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. College Avenue closure. Police extra duty. 661. Approved request for use of city property requested by Lighthouse Christian Fellowship. The location is War Memorial Park. Preaching and passing out literature. Date Saturday, 23rd and 30th, 2016, and February 6, 13, 20, 27, 2016. Time is 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. 62, approved request for use of city property requested by Diocese of Metuchen. Location is War Memorial Park. Religious street outreach during 6 weeks of Lent. Date and time is Wednesday, February 10, 2016 from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Date and time Saturday is February 13, 20, 27, 2016 from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. Date and time Saturday, March 5, 12, 19, 2016 from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. 63, approved resolution authorizing acceptance and execution of arts grant agreement with County of Middlesex Cultural and Heritage Commission for art at City Hall, amount to be received $650. 64, approved amendment resolution R-111-514. Reason to pay additional legal fees in the amount of $3,368.50 in Mr. Mitchell. Police Officer Andrew Weiss in the matter of Rodriguez versus Police Officer Andrew Weiss, from $21,126.50 to $24,495. 65, authorized professional service agreement with Bridgewater Veterinary Hospital for veterinarian services for the K-9 unit for the police department. 12-month period commencing January 1st, 2016, ending December 31st, 2016. not to exceed $3,817.72 to non-pro tunc. 666, authorized professional services with Phoenix Advisors LLC. 2016 continuing disclosure agent services as required by the Securities and Exchange Commission. Term is 12-month period commencing January 1, 2016 and ending December 31st, 2016, not to exceed $3,000, non-pro tunc. 67, approved payment for emergency procurement fire department for concrete masonry work at engine number 5 firehouse with Black Rock Enterprise LLC, not to exceed $15,875. Purchase orders D84372. 68, approved payment for emergency procurement public library for concrete masonry work at the public library with A&M Plumbing and Heating LLC, doing business as A&M Contracting, not to exceed $10,500. Purchase order D84120. 69, approved payment for emergency procurement boarding building for asphalt repairs on Jersey Avenue due to road breaks with Black Rock Enterprises LLC, not to exceed $27,070. Purchase order D84329. 70, approved payment for emergency procurement boarding utility for asphalt repairs on George Street due to water main breaks, Black Rock Enterprise LLC, not to exceed $30,240. Purchase order D84330. 71, approve award of contract with Ursi Incorporated for maintenance and support contract with property software for GIS development software applications for the Division of Assessments. Term is 12-month period commencing September 18, 2016, and ending September 17, 2017, not to exceed $3,000. 672, approve award of contract with She International to furnish and deliver one forensic recovery of evidence device for the police department. Specification number 49515P, not to exceed $6,616. 73, approve award of contract with Rowley Retreads Incorporated for repairing and retreading of truck tires for public works and fire department. Term is 12-month period commencing January 21, 2016 and ending January 20, 2017. Specification number 46715P, not to exceed $39,760. 74, approve award of contract with Norkia Corporation for medium-heavy equipment parts and repair services. Term is 24-month period commencing January 21st, 2016, ending January 20, 2018. Specification number is 49315P, not to exceed $138,000. 75, approve amendment of resolution R121571. Pay additional legal fees in the amount of $600 to the American Arbitration Association for arbitration services in the matter of City of Brunswick versus Marvet Construction Corporation from $7,250 to $7,850. 76, authorize renewal agreement with the County of Middlesex for basic life support program in 2016, not to be received is $53,000. 77, approve renewal of contract with National Vision Administrator for vision plan for city employees. Term January 21, 2016 through December 31, 2016. 49, not to exceed $49,000. 78, approve award of contract authorization to reject one bid. Furnish and deliver chemicals for bulk feed facilities. Rear Line Company. Univar USA Incorporated, Miracle Chemical Co. Chemtrade Chemicals US LLC, George S. Coyne Chemical. Term is 12-month period commencing February 1, 2016 and ending January 31st, 2017. Specification number 106-2016W, not to exceed $859,834.40. 79, approved request for street closing. Requested by Rutgers University Alumni Association, Livingston Avenue alongside Christopher's Restaurant between New and George Streets. Hall of Distinguished Alumni Awards Gathering, Black Tie event. The date is Saturday, May 7, 2016. Time is 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Police extra duty. 80, authorized execution of collective bargaining agreement for FMBA 217. 81, approved payment for emergency procurement Parks Department for repair of the furnace at the youth sports complex with Nastis Brothers Incorporated, not to exceed $725. Purchase order D85056. 82, authorized property leave for board up security, location 239 George Gilmer Avenue, block 266, block 7.01. Amount is $2,997.63. 83, authorized property leave for board up security, location 309 Townsend Street, block 146, lot 15. Amount is $232.19. 84, authorized property leave for board up security, location 268 Somerset Street. Block 97, lot 27, amount $658.48. 85, authorized property leave for board up security, location 228 Commercial Avenue, block 215, lot 22, amount $394.58. 86, approve award of contract with Underground Utilities Corporation for 2015 sanitary sewer improvement project Phase 1A. Specification number 89215, not to exceed $981,000. 87, approve award of contract with Allstate Power VAC for 2015 sanitary sewer improvement project Phase 1B. Specification number 892-15, not to exceed $157,48. 88, approve relaxation of the city noise ordinance requested by New Brunswick Development Corporation on behalf of Joseph Goley and Son. Ongoing work at the University Apartments Project, also known as the Lot 8 site, located at 46 College Avenue. Date and times from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. in the evenings, Monday through Friday, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. on January 1st, 2015 through December 31st, 2016. Holidays excluded, non-pro tunc. 89, approve relaxation of the city noise ordinance requested by New Brunswick Development Corporation on behalf of Joe Goley and Son. Ongoing work at Rutgers Academic Building located at 15 Seminary Place. Dates and times, Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and in the evenings, Monday through Friday from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. from January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016. Holidays excluded, non-pro tunc. 90, approve amendment resolution R121555. The extended contract for one additional year with Business and Governmental Insurance Agency for insurance brokerage services prescription drug program. 12-month period commencing February 1, 2016 and ending January 31st, 2017. 91, approve request for solicitation of funds requested by Rutgers University Habitat for Humanity Campus Chapter. Dates January 23rd, 24th, 30, 31, 2016. Time 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Locations George Street, Albany Street, Eastern Avenue, Somerset Street, Commercial Avenue, George Street, Dudley Road, and Riders Lane. 92, authorize tax collector to transfer overpayments on several tax and utility accounts. That's it. Is that enough? Okay.
We also have, Mr. Council President, a presentation by the Environmental Commission relative to a report which is at the end of the agenda, perhaps at the after the first part of the meeting when we start.
Okay.
We could do that.
Sure. Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Escobar.
Here.
Council Vice President Fleming.
Here.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Present.
Council President Egan.
Here, please be advised that the notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been complied with and satisfied, and that the annual notice, which gave sufficient notice of the time and place and conduct of all public meetings of the municipal council of the city of New Brunswick, has been filed with the city clerk, has been placed on an appropriate bulletin board in the lobby of City Hall in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and has been transmitted to the official newspaper for the city of New Brunswick, namely the Home News and Tribune. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now, a moment of silence for our men and women serving in our armed forces, and for all our men and women in our armed forces who lost their lives. We have minutes from December 16, 2015. Can I get a motion on the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Council Vice President Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Egan.
Yes. We have ordinances on first reading. 601, ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the city of New Brunswick, Title 15, Building and Construction, Abandoned Properties Rehabilitation Ordinance.
Move the ordinance setting down February 3rd, same date, for public hearing, same date to be advertised.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes. Councilmember
Escobar.
Yes.
Council Vice President Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Egan.
Yes. 602, salary ordinance, FMBA number 217 for 2015-21.
Move the ordinance setting down Wednesday, February 3rd, for public hearing, same date to be advertised.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Council Vice President Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Egan.
Yes. 603, an ordinance to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the city of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 24. No parking anytime, Nielsen Street.
I move the ordinance, I'm sorry, for public hearing on February 3rd, same date to be advertised.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Council Vice President Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Egan.
Yes. 604, in order to amend and supplement the revised general ordinance of the city of New Brunswick, Title 10, Vehicles and Traffic, Schedule 8B, Loading Zones, Nielsen Street.
Move the ordinance setting down February 3rd for public hearing, same date to be advertised.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Council Vice President Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Egan.
Yes. 605, an ordinance amending ordinances 0-127802, fixing salaries and wages of various employees represented by the Municipal Employees Association for 2015-2018.
Move the ordinance setting down February 3rd for public hearing, same date to be advertised.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Council Vice President Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Aye.
Council President Egan.
Yes. We now move to resolutions. We have resolutions 601 to 692. Would anybody from the public like to comment on any of these particular resolutions? Please step right up. Anybody would like to comment on the resolutions? You have 5 minutes. Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, members of the council. Charles Cradaville from New Brunswick. It's a lot of resolutions, so I hope you'll allow for a little extra time if I can't fit it in 5 minutes. I see $30,000 for William Hamilton, $30,000 for Charlie Gaden. Can somebody tell me how that compares to what they billed for the prior year, for 2015?
I believe it's the same amount, but maybe Mr. Shammy can put up or tell me.
These authorizations are with respect to those two attorneys on their hourly billing. It's Mr. Hamilton 30 and Ms. Gaden 30, the same amount we saw last year. The exact amount that they billed, I can't quote you off the top of my head. I know that with Ms. Gaden, it probably is over 30, and Mr. Hamilton may be close, but I don't want to be held to that. I could check on it and get back to you at the next meeting.
I know Ms. Gaden served as the community liaison. Does this $30,000 include her work as the community liaison, or is that no longer part of this?
I'm going to say no, but I don't know if she does that anymore. Can Mr. Lockland, somebody help us out, or Mr. Shammy?
I think this contract is independent of that type of assignment.
That's independent. This is just strictly city attorney work for the city. Am I correct, Mr. Shammy?
Well, yeah, this is for the hourly billing.
Yeah, hourly billing.
Ms. Gaden also has a salary, $45,000 a year, which encompasses any and all other work that she does, and the community liaison piece is built into that salary to the extent that her role is still in that capacity.
Understood. And can you tell me the hourly rates for Hamilton and for Gaden?
Well, Ms. Gaden, it's $115 an hour. For Mr. Hamilton, it's $185 an hour.
Okay. And I believe it's true that Ms. Gaden has represented a man named Michael Ross regarding a matter with the Civil Service Commission. Can you tell me, is that part of her work as the city attorney?
I don't know anything about that, Mr. Cradaville. I can look into it and get back to you, but I have no knowledge of her representing Mr. Ross in connection with the city matter, or opposing Mr. Ross.
I believe she's here. Could we ask her, did she represent Mr. Ross in a matter involving the Civil Service Commission?
Mr. Shammy, I'm sorry, let's just stick to the resolutions here. Okay,
Yeah.
the payment for the 30,000 is payable hours as a city attorney. So the other question is not relevant to what we're speaking about.
Right, so if she represents a firefighter at the Civil Service Commission, that's not included. That doesn't count towards her city attorney work. She doesn't bill the city for that, or does she?
She bills the city for matters wherein she represents the city that are outside of her salary. It's provided for under ordinance. There's a 5-hour deductible. I don't know, Ms. Gaden may be involved with employees from a disciplinary perspective. I don't know off the top of my head exactly how many and who. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I don't think these answers are, sufficient.
But when Mr. Cradaville's asking, when she does that work, or does she charge, are they billable hours when she's representing? What particular thing are you speaking of?
Michael Ross, he challenged the results of a civil service test.
He represents the city in a hearing with civil service on behalf of the city, that would be billable.
Yes.
Okay, can you please ask Ms. Gaden if she billed the city for that case?
Ms. Gaten, did you bill the city for that case? You have a recollection of that?
I didn't have a case. There was no case.
Did she ever represent Mr. Ross
In what capacity?
as an attorney?
I don't know
Listen,
if that's
Mr.
appropriate to
Listen,
answer.
we're way off the track here. She said she never had a case like that. Is that correct, Mr. Gaten?
I don't know what case he's
Okay.
referring to.
Okay, I'll present the information
Okay.
to the city.
Okay.
Moving on. Thank you for the thorough answers. The number 639, Robert Wood Johnson, Physician Enterprise, is this a new arrangement, or is this something that's just being renewed?
Mr. Regan, it's an annual contract that we put out to bid, and we retain the services of a local physician for pre-employment physicals and return to work physicals. I think this is the first time we're working with the Robert Wood Johnson Physician Enterprise Group. There was only one response to our RFP, and it was by this
Okay.
party.
Thank you. That was my next question. I want to ask about 641 is Hatchmont McDonald, their engineering support services for the water utility. Can you tell me, has Hatchmont McDonald done well for the water utility? Obviously, there were some problems, and I know that they were responsible for part of the, water quality monitoring and stuff. Do we have any reason to believe that Hatchmont McDonald has let the city down in their capacity here?
I wouldn't believe so. I mean, it was a fair and open bid. Would anybody like to comment on their performance on Hatchmont McDonald? Yes, sir, Mr.
Yes, my short tenure being here about 6 months, I have to say, having reviewed the different proposals that came in, given the history that we have with Hatchmont McDonald, they were far and above more than qualified to represent the city. They are one of the largest engineering firms in the country, and any project or any questions I've had at any time, they're there to answer the phone. I'm in communication with them 4 or 5 times a week with various issues going on with the system, and I'm quite happy with them. So.
Just a follow-up question. Can you tell me what the support services are, more specifically?
Sure.
There's a wide range of activities that we go through, whether it's preparing bids, overall master plans, what the future of the treatment plant is going to be, inspection and monitoring of the current big projects that we have going on at the 2 pumping stations, and future plans going forward to definitely keep the plant running and hopefully improve it and increase the capacity as we go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you for the thorough answers. 645, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 appointments here for attorneys to municipal positions. Can you tell me, are any of these folks employees of the city?
I believe all of them is an employee except for Mr. Harding. James Harding is the newest employee. Am I correct?
Right, they're all reappointments except for Mr. Harding, which is a new appointment. And they are employed by the city on a salary basis.
Okay, and why is Mr. Harding not an employee of the
Because
other?
I believe he's new. He's the newest
Yeah.
hire. The other guys are reappointments, and Mr. Harding is a new appointment in that capacity.
Okay, so the other 4 individuals get pension credits.
I don't know what they get. We don't know.
I don't know if either, any of those individuals.
We don't know if any of them are grandfathered. I know all new hires don't get that anymore, but I don't know if they're grandfathered in or what they get. I can't speak on the personnel.
Okay, so we're not sure if any of these 4 employees are getting credits towards a pension.
I'm not sure. Does anybody know?
I think they, in the past, had pension credits, and those have been called into question by the PERS retirement system. So I can't say that any of them are currently eligible for pension service credit.
Okay, and my next point is a personal point, but I want to caution the council against appointing Mr. Cintron. Mr. Cintron is a municipal prosecutor, and he actually prosecuted me for a crime and did so committing prosecutorial misconduct at many different turns.
Why would you bring that? What do you mean?
Because I'm cautioning you against appointing him, because I'm afraid he might do the same thing to other people. This is not a personal thing, this is a warrant.
It sounds personal, it sounds personal.
Yeah, I'm happy to tell you about it too, because I have nothing to hide and the charge was dismissed. But what Mr. Cintron did was, first of all, allowed the police to tell him whether or not the case was going to be prosecuted. And Mr. Cintron actually said to me that he felt he did not have a responsibility to be fair to me as a defendant, which should sound something like something very bad to any of the attorneys in the room, that a prosecutor would ever say that, especially with witnesses. He said this in front of 2 uniformed police officers. And then on the record, he said that Officer Lizchak said that the case is going to trial, and that's why he was making a decision. He was allowing the officer to make the decision of whether to prosecute, not at all based on any of the facts. I presented him with the statute he said I violated. He could not explain what part of the statute I violated or why I was being prosecuted, and ultimately the judge dismissed the charge because my arguments prevailed over Mr. Cintron's, and I'm afraid that someone who's not as argumentative as myself might suffer a different fate if he falsely tries to prosecute them for a crime. So I'd ask you respectfully to please look into the case, because you can get the audio recording and listen, and you can see exactly what Mr. Cintron said on the record and judge for yourself. But please hold the appointment for this meeting and do not appoint him tonight. Is that something you're willing to do?
No.
Okay, that looks really bad. The next one, I'll just move on. It just looks terrible that that someone would just come and give you an honest story like that.
You got said all this stuff here. The guy's not even here to defend himself.
Exactly. He's not here to for his confirmation.
So everything you say.
Can you ask him to come to the next meeting?
No.
And explain his side of the story? Will you look into this at all?
Mr. Cradible, it's the first time I'm even hearing about it.
Precisely. Will you look into this?
Did you win the case?
Yes.
Okay. So what do you? So something we don't win that.
That's why we should reappoint.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
For purposes of Mr. Citron's qualifications, I know Mr. Citron, I've heard of his performance, I've evaluated him, I think he's a fine prosecutor. One point of correction Mr. Cradible made, it is the officer's decision as to whether or not a charge or a ticket that he or she wrote is being tried or there's a plea bargain or not. That officer wrote the ticket, he has or she has ultimate decision as to whether or not the case is proceeded with to trial or there's a plea bargain or a dismissal. So the prosecutor, based upon what I just heard, is doing what he has to do. The officer says, I want to prosecute, he has an obligation to prosecute.
Thank you, Mr. Shammy.
Okay, that's a scary concept that the police are actually the prosecutors here. It defeats the purpose of a prosecutor. A prosecutor is supposed to be fair to all sides, and he was not fair in that case. And you can look it up yourself and get the information, should you care to actually protect the citizens of New Brunswick from false prosecutions. The next one I want to ask about is the ethics matter. Donna Pinkavage being appointed. When were you going to tell me there's an ethics board meeting tomorrow for my complaint?
Mr. Crowd, I don't even know about your complaint. You have another complaint at the ethics board?
Yes, I do.
He does? It's the first I'm hearing about it. Go ahead. Is there ethics?
There's an ethics board meeting tomorrow at 5:30. I understand it's a reorganization meeting. The receipt of the complaint that Mr. Cradible filed, I understand, will be discussed. Obviously, if there's a hearing, Mr. Cradible will be advised as to the hearing. That will be up to the board and the board attorney. And it's my understanding that it was publicized in the paper as is required by law.
Okay.
So
Let's get back to the resolutions. Do you have something to say about her appointment, sir?
Not beyond, I'm concerned that the board is not exercising its duties under the operating procedures. My complaint was submitted at December 16th council meeting, and according to those standard procedures, within 30 days it's supposed to be referred to a subcommittee for evaluation. And, we are now more than 30 days past then, and I have not even received a copy of my own complaint. I have not received word of this meeting, as has been done in the past. So I'm just concerned that the ethics board is slipping, actually, and not performing. So I want to raise that to, somebody should tell Donna Pinkavage that she needs to be vigilant on this board. 648 is an interesting one. Verizon Wireless is going to put, I guess, this Wi-Fi on public roads, or what is Verizon going to do?
Mr. Galetti?
There is a representative also, you can hear from Verizon, who could speak to that. It's my understanding the request has been vetted by the engineering department. Mr. Delaney is familiar with it. All his questions were answered. And this young lady in the front row, whose name I forgot, I apologize, is here to speak to it as well.
If I may, would you like me to stand or am I?
Yes, I want you to stand, please.
My name is Catherine Windsor. I'm with Tilson Technology. We're representing Verizon Wireless in this request. Mr. Shammy is correct. We have spoken with Mr. Valenti at length. We've gone back and forth with him, and we have satisfied all of his inquiries. That is why we're here at this meeting tonight. Basically, just to give a quick overview of what we're looking to do, we're looking to put small network nodes on existing facilities in the right-of-way. So, for instance, existing utility poles. And what these nodes do, they're meant to work with the macro sites, the big cell towers. They're meant to serve as a complement to the big towers to increase infrastructure, increase capacity so that the system is more reliable. It helps offset, for instance, high data usage from the big micro towers, and basically offload data capacity, and they're generally located where they can serve more high traffic areas. And they're really just consisted of a small antenna and a radio, and they can be mounted to a variety of structures. I mentioned a utility pole, for instance. They could also be mounted to street lights, for instance, and it's usually a single antenna. So it's a very small piece of equipment. It's very low range. It's meant to blend into the surroundings. It's not meant to stick out or whatnot. And like I said, it's meant to supplement the existing microcell sites.
Have there been sites that are selected in New Brunswick, or?
We have several proposed locations that we're looking at. We are here requesting a blanket consent so that once we have proposed locations, if, for instance, a location is not viable and we need to select another one, that we don't have to keep coming back to the council and bugging you. So what we're doing is we're requesting a blanket consent now, and assuming that the council is on board with that, then we would proceed with any other additional procedures, zoning permits, building permits, whatnot. So the city and council would have oversight of the specific locations. It would then be site by site as to what we're looking to do. Right now, all we're looking for is a blanket consent in order to start proceeding with this process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are two labor agreements on the docket tonight, 652, and I believe the other 680. Can I just get a little bit of information about what those new contracts include? What are the major changes over the previous contract?
Yes. For the MEA, if we start with them, it is a 4-year contract. They are we've negotiated pay increases of 1.5% retroactive to July 1, 2015 for the year 2015. For 2016, there's an increase of 2%. For 2017, an increase of 2%. 2018 is an increase of 1.5%. We have negotiated some considerably significant give-backs in the health and welfare area, particularly the prescription plan has been reconfigured with the intent of saving the city some dollars in that area. We've negotiated a reopener language in both contracts should the Cadillac tax survive. I guess the pressure it's getting down in Washington, it's already been delayed by 2 years. We've added we've increased the meals during emergencies for certain employees. We've increased the automobile reimbursement for housing inspectors. And we have, for fire inspectors, we're giving them some on-call pay for the first time. for the FMBA 217, which is the superior officers, anyone from the rank of lieutenant up. Again, 1.5% retroactive to July 1, 2015. 2%, 1.5%, 2%, 1.5%, 2% for the remainder of the contract. We negotiated the same prescription give-backs. We have the same Cadillac tax reopener language in the contract, so we need to go in that direction. We have the FMBA committing to their contributions towards health benefits in accord with the current Chapter 78, even if 78 should in some way get watered down.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I need to ask about the Phoenix Advisors contract, it's 66. Can you just tell me how long has the SEC required the city to hire this firm? I mean, is this going to be an annual thing, or is this the last year that we are required to do that?
I would have liked to have deferred that question to Mr. Pettit, who's not here, but I believe it is an annual obligation, and I believe we retained Phoenix at some point in time last year as well.
Okay, so we'll continue presumably into the following year as well.
I believe it's going to be an ongoing
It's an
obligation.
annual thing.
Okay. Seems like a decent value. I need to ask about 675 is a payment to the American Arbitration Association. Through the chair, can you ask Councilwoman Garlotti if she's going to abstain from this resolution?
Or you want to abstain?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That's the right thing to do. I need to ask about 678 is the purchase of chemicals for the water utility, I'm presuming. Doesn't say, but chemicals for bulk feed facilities. Can you just tell me what kind of chemicals these are and what changes have been made to the chemicals that the utility is using since the problems with the,
Director?
Deep question there. Give me a second. I had to do it by then, I'm sorry. There have been no changes as far as chemicals that we're using. What number was it again? I'm sorry.
678.
678. There you go. It's on log. Okay. Greer Lime Company, obviously, they're the producers of the lime. That is a chemical that we buy in large bulk. We buy it by the tractor trailer. We have large silos that fill that in. That helps adjust the pH, which keeps the pH high. If anybody's familiar with what's going on in Flint, Michigan, that's the reason why we add lime, is to keep the pH at a very high level to prohibit any metals from leaching out of the system that we have there. Univar provides us with aluminum sulfate. Aluminum sulfate is a chemical that reacts with particles in the raw water that helps them come together, or colloidal solutions, and then they thus settle out. It's very important, especially when you have bad weather events. Miracle Chemical, they provide us with the sodium hypochlorite, which we use for disinfection, and they make that here locally in New Jersey. Chemtrade, I believe, is doing sulfuric acid, which is used in addition to aluminum sulfate. Aluminum sulfate reacts better at a low pH. You see how we kind of fight each other. We're lowering the pH, we're raising the pH, but that's to get the best chemical mix that we can do. And Coin Chemical, they're sodium bisulfate. That's just in the event that you have too high of a chlorine, we can react and bring that chlorine down.
I'm sorry, what was the last chemical?
Sodium bisulfate.
Bisulfate, okay. And I just recall recently that we had a surplus of sulfuric acid. We had to get rid of sulfuric acid very recently. Why are we now buying more? Did it go bad, or did we make a change?
The issue is that it does have a shelf life. And it just so happened with this last cycle that we had so much in bulk that we didn't really need it, because the natural water's coming in at a lower pH, that the alum just works fine with it. So it's one of those things, we're going to have to move it out, and we wouldn't want to use an older chemical after the shelf life's done. So.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr.
we could ask just with all the news that's going on, is there any problems with our stuff as compared to Michigan?
Yeah, the water sources are completely different. I mean, if you're following the Flint, Michigan scenario, the the Flint River that they're taking the water from had an extremely low pH, and they just didn't have the treatment capacity to handle that pH when they did that. And the system being very old, similar in age to New Brunswick, but, our pH is much higher in our natural waters, and like I say, we use lime to keep the pH above, 7, so.
Thank you. The last one, I just want a little bit of information about 690, the BGIA prescription drug program. Can you tell me if there's a difference between the renewed contract and the original contract, or is it the same one that's been in effect?
This is for brokerage services only, and we went out to Fair and Open last year. We have the right to extend it by 1 year, and that's what we're choosing to do. This group just acts as the broker between us and the prescription drug provider. Same relationship as last year.
Okay, and can you just tell me the name of the provider that they've...
Yes, Maxor Limited out of El Paso, Texas.
Okay, and what is the commission that they get on the contract?
Don't know, I reported that last year, and I have it in a file somewhere, I just don't know it at the moment. But I
It's
can
the
get that for
same
you.
as last year?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the
You're welcome,
information.
anytime. Okay, anybody else on the resolutions this evening? Seeing none?
Move the resolution.
Second.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Council Vice President Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti.
Yes, abstaining on 675.
So noted. Council President Egan.
Yes. We will now have the public portion. I'm sorry, we have the person,
Why
yes.
don't we,
Yes, I
that's
forgot about
okay
that.
with council, hear from the
Yes, I apologize.
Environmental Commission.
We have from the Environmental Commission report, come right up.
Yep, thank you. Hi, I'm Erin Connolly. I've been on the Environmental Commission since 2009. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak about the last 6 months. I'll start off by saying we are working with the City of New Brunswick on a recycling education and enforcement plan. We developed a statement of the current recycling program and will set forth goals for our community. We partnered with the Collaborative Center at Rutgers, which assigned 2 community research assistants to establish baseline information on municipal recycling in New Brunswick as compared to other municipalities in New Jersey during the fall semester. These Rutgers students presented an outline of the recycling plan in October, gave a presentation of their research in November, and submitted a final report at the end of the semester. We're going to share this recycling report with Donna Caputo at Public Works and plan and identify action steps to begin to advance towards our goals of keeping New Brunswick clean, increasing the amount that is recycled, limiting the amount of waste that goes to landfills. We plan on creating an anti-idling motor vehicle statute compliance campaign. The Commission is preparing a proposed approach that will include all vehicles within the city and a reporting mechanism. State requirements for compliance as it applies to municipalities, as well as Sustainable Jersey certification guidelines will be considered in the planning phase. An urban pollinators project was in the works. Currently, the Environmental Commission and the city are still discussing an appropriate site for the pollinators garden in Bucalo Park. I get the sense that there is a fear perhaps of bees, and because of the stings that they may bring to park goers. And so if we need to change the concept from a pollinator garden to perhaps a flower garden instead, because the name is concerning to anyone in the city, then they should let us know so that we can change it. But basically, we've secured $5,000 worth of plants. It's a great program and we really want to lift it off. It was supposed to get started in January, where kids would be shown the beauty of planting seeds, and then they would see those seeds grow and we would plant them in Bucalo Park among other native plants of New Brunswick and the area in Bucalo Park, and then have a walk-through trail with signs It's gonna be great. If it's the bees that scare you, we can perhaps consider a different name, okay? The Environmental Commission, in partnership with Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership, held a civic science event at the park in August. This included a presentation from Rutgers representatives on pollinators, native plants, and a pollinator count, survey of pollinators in the section of the park identified for the project implementation. So we've been bounced around at Bucalo Park somewhat. It started in one location, we got sent to another one, and now we're on our third location. The original location is actually what we probably prefer, and that is a plot of land that was previously used for gardening in a former decade. I don't recall which one. So we're going to work with Mr. Montanez to find other locations that would be suitable for the pollinator project. The Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership and the New Brunswick Environmental Commission are working to bring about an installation of a fish ladder, which is quite what it sounds like. It's where fish climb the water of the ladder to get into Weston's Mills ponds. As part of the municipal public access project the Environmental Commission hosted, there was a presentation on the design of 2 dams for fish passage. The study considered current water flow and indicated that construction of passageways is feasible. Another presentation reported on a pilot study to be given in August on assessing levels of elements and contaminants in fish caught in the Raritan River at New Brunswick. So as a boat owner and a Raritan River lover, it's great to know that preliminary results may have showed some concentration of certain contaminants in some fish species, but indicated positive results in others. So before we can give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to consuming fish, more studies are necessary. So we intend to embark on those. Additionally, new sculptures from the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership Watershed Art Project were installed at the Robert Wood Johnson Wellness Center Gallery in New Brunswick. The opening of the gallery was in October. Coastal Vulnerability Assessment Municipal Public Access Plan Grant. The Jacques Cousteau Coastal Research Center completed the Coastal Vulnerability Assessment for New Brunswick. This report was produced by the Cousteau Center at Rutgers that outlines a number of specific steps for the city to take to move toward resiliency related to after coastal flooding and stormwater runoff. EC members both coordinated and participated in this project. Next, environment issues affecting New Brunswick. New Brunswick has proposed that 2 areas be taken off of septic service. In Bucalo Park and near Rutgers Gardens near the Lawrence Brook Dam. The Environmental Commission has sent an inquiry to the Planning Department to determine why the sewer service is needed in these areas. As someone who lives close to Rutgers Gardens, hearing that septic service is potentially going to be installed there is concerning because that could lead to more apartments or buildings, and I guess we want to know what they are. The Environmental Commission received notification that there's groundwater pollution in a localized area caused by a discharge at a contaminated site, and that PSE&G has requested a classification exception area for the former New Brunswick gas work site. The NJDEP is monitoring groundwater pollution at the site, and we will ask to be appraised of the results. A wastewater management plan and map was approved by the Middlesex County Water Resources Association. This has been submitted to the county freeholders for their approval. The map has been approved, but not the plan. An Environmental Commission representative contributed to the planning effort. Almost done. The New Brunswick Planning Department has not yet agreed to the New Brunswick Environmental Commission submitting a grant application to Sustainable Jersey to perform what is called an environmental resource inventory within New Brunswick. It's somewhat odd, I suppose, that we don't have an environmental resource inventory, and we could submit a grant to secure the funds which would cover the costs. An approval of this application is required from the City Council, which is why I'm talking about it too. And then lastly, there are 5 things I'd like to talk about, which I'm proud of. Members of our Environmental Commission are also members in a number of groups around the city, and we passionately care about our city and are involved in many different projects. Starting off with Sustainable Jersey, the New Brunswick Green Team submitted the final application and supporting documentation to Sustainable Jersey in September, securing that was approved for bronze status for the city. As someone who was involved from day one, which I think could have been upwards of 5 years ago, it's so exciting to see that we finally were able to submit the application and succeed at earning bronze. Parking Day, the Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership and the New Brunswick Environmental Commission shared a table at the September event. Topics discussed were establishing street-side parks in parking spaces, open space, and use in the new park at Wolfson Deck Site, and stormwater runoff planning. Additionally, the New Brunswick Environmental Commission had a booth at the Raritan River Festival in September. We're going to be proposing new programming for this coming Raritan River Festival, which will be engaging environment-oriented activities. Number 4 or 5, the Environmental Commission was represented at the New Brunswick Block Captain meeting by me in October, and I also participated in a cleanup with Esperanza, which is a group in New Brunswick. They're awesome, and we cleaned some areas in that ward together and passed out information about keeping New Brunswick clean. And also, I continue to assist the Department of Public Works in the operation of the Block Captain program, which helped the city to win a Creativity and Innovation Award for its Clean Communities program. So congratulations, Donna Caputo, congratulations to the City of New Brunswick. Lastly, as part of the Municipal Public Access Plan Development and Environmental Commissioner guided members of the Municipal Public Access Plan group on a walking tour of the Raritan River Conservation Zone side of the New Brunswick, from Rutgers Village to the location of the AMC Theater. Almost 30 people participated. And that might not seem like a big deal, but the river is right there, and I think so few of our residents actually appreciate its beauty. So taking small groups of people out to the river and perhaps establishing what could be a future pathway or walkway is exciting. So thank you again for your time and making me wait that long.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Just
Thank you very much for all you do. Appreciate it.
Ask one thing,
Oh, yeah,
with
sure.
the pollinator garden kind of deal,
Yes.
does that have anything to do with any of the honey or anything like that?
Do you want it to? Would that be a selling point for you?
I don't know.
Okay, so there's definitely no honey. There's no
Okay.
honey in this pollinator garden whatsoever. We don't intend to put any bee houses. It's sort of like if you build it, they will come. So bees are in New Brunswick already, and they're actually really good. And Ben Franklin said we would only live 2 years if the bee populations died. So it's something to think about.
Don't bother them, they don't bother you.
What was that?
If you don't bother them, they don't bother you.
Yes, exactly. Okay, any other questions?
I just have a question for Mr. Henderson. She mentioned a couple of times where the Department of Planning has not been responsive to some of the inquiries that they have done. Do you have any, there's a reason why, or can you give us an update? Or?
Yeah, I have no idea what she's talking about with the first one she brought up about the sewer areas. That's, you know, there's nothing in our department challenging anything about that. As far as I know, the county approved the map. There are a couple of areas where there weren't sewers, and there are appropriate places to not have sewers. They're down by Weston Mills Pond and down by Boyd Park. So I have no idea what she's referring to there. With the, yeah, and that has never been communicated to my department. So really, I don't know what that's about. With the grant, we told them, you know, we have a lot on our plate, and they're asking us to get involved with some very, very small grants, which take a lot of our time up, and we declined to proceed with that at that time. You know, it's just, you can't do everything all at once, and they didn't really come to us before they decided to want to go with the grant to see if this was something that we could participate with.
Thank you. I'm sorry if you felt like I put you on the spot. I will introduce myself after the meeting.
Not on the spot.
Okay. Well,
You guys can talk to each other after the meeting.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Wetland.
Before we go to the public comment,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
As you're aware, I live very close to the boulevard of New Brunswick, also known as Livingston Avenue, and there's been an ongoing process. I've attended several public hearings about the re-engineering, if you will, of that beautiful boulevard. I drive on it virtually every day. Pedestrians are still very much at risk, so I was wondering if I could have an update. Has there been any developments or a schedule made for the changes to Livingston Avenue?
Mr. Patterson?
This is Council President Scolari. City staff, Representatives Mr. Valenti, myself, Mr. Siegel, along with the mayor, met with some of the county officials a week ago to try to move this forward. I think we've agreed that the alternative 3, which is called the classic road diet, with one lane each direction, the center turn lane and bike lanes, is the preferred alternative to do that. The county is now looking to go out and get an engineer to do the final design for the project. I don't know whether that will be Dewberry, which is the engineer that did the concept plan, but they would obviously have a lot of knowledge about it, so I suspect it may go that way, but that's up to the county. The county engineers advised that the design process will take up to a year to do, mainly to deal with the signal improvements that are required by some federal regulations, that once you do any kind of improvements within a certain range of the signals, you have to upgrade them, and apparently the design of signals takes some time. The funding for it is something we'll have to look at next as to how that gets divided up between the city and the county. I think the preliminary numbers we're talking about were in the $3.5 million range, but that could change just depending on how much lighting gets put into the project and how much concrete work and some things like that. But there's been some good progress.
Thank you. I just have a question.
Yes.
If there's going to be a follow-up for the community, just to let them know exactly what you just said, because they're going to be like, this guy was waiting for to hear something. So probably just to let the people know, those who were in attendance, especially, that is, the county is planning to do something, or us are planning to do something to communicate that to the community.
I think it's up to the county, I mean, the lead on this, but there were at least one more public meeting funded in the project with a preliminary design. So if they want to try to arrange something, I mean, we'd certainly be happy to participate in that. We've had a lot of good turnout from the community when we've held the last 2 meetings.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Okay, anybody else on the Environmental Commission or on the Livingston Avenue? Okay. We'll move to the public portion of the meeting. 5 minutes to address the council. Yes.
Hi, yes, Danielle Moore, 188 Walker Street. I would just like to say, start off where, wow, it was wonderful to see the council members at the Martin Luther King program at Red Shaw School. I will say I did take some wonderful pictures of you. Just give me a little time. I had to order some more supplies to develop them. I will say that Council Member Fleming will have a little more extra pictures due to where he was the speaker. He was the speaker up there, and I have to say, wow! I tell you, I've never seen you so happy before. Well, I have wonderful pictures. Well, I'm just saying it was beautiful. Like I said, how it came from your heart, the truth. It was great. It really was. And like I said, I will make sure I get you the pictures. Just give me a little time with my supplies to get in.
Thank you.
Okay, now I would like to say thank you for fixing the switches on French Street, filling in the pothole on Remsen and Sanford in the bike path. But I still don't see in crossing Saddam Street and French Street where you still have the big hole in the crossway that's right by the laundromat. Like I said, you can't ride by to see the hole. If you actually walk in there, I mean, how somebody can break their ankle and nothing was taken care of.
I saw it, I'll
He's going to take care of it tomorrow.
Okay, and then also, how much longer, like I said, it's been 4 months for the walking system for Joyce Comer and Delavan?
Talk about the lighting system.
Yes, it's
Yes,
been
the security, the lady that works there said something to me the other day about it, the
crossing guard?
Yes, she works there, she said it's broken.
Yes, it's been over 4 months, yes.
Mr. Valenti?
As we reported last time, there was multiple issues on numerous locations in the city.
Yes.
Excuse me. We're in the process of receiving the bids to repair all those. We did have a 2-year maintenance contract, but that was long expired.
Okay.
So
Okay,
it's,
so
it's
Mr.
gonna
Board,
take a
it's
little
taking some time, we're going out to bid, because it's public today, we have to go out to bid to get it fixed, but we are gonna get it fixed. We start, you know, things just don't happen overnight, like we'd like to just snap our fingers and get it done, but we will get it fixed.
Well, I will
We
say,
will get it fixed.
I will say where speaking of what you just said, things don't happen overnight. I will say thanks to the Board of Education, where I was at the meeting last night, where I happened to show them some live pictures to show how many children in the situation with Delavan Livingston School and the accident, well, how, actual pictures to show how many children you have that could have got hit in. Due to where the Board of Education has stepped up today with, principal, vice principals, all the security guards they can to actually be outside to do the traffic due to where the police department said at least 2 to 4 weeks ago that they were going to come out to help. This isn't going to work where one time the police department is out there to work, then the Board of Education. This has to be together due to where the meeting they said they're expecting someone from the police department where it was going to be a police car, where I said at least until they get the advertisement out to let them know the situation with Delavan Street. Then that was last Thursday. I spoke to Lieutenant Trigg, where he's in charge of crossing guards. That was where he said, okay, the plan is not to close the road due to how they were going to put the cones in the center of Livingston Avenue, so no cars could not make any turns. The only way for you to get into Delavan was coming from towards Sanford to make the right turn. So I'm wondering, when is the police department going to step up and join with the Board of Education to help this work?
So the police haven't been showing up?
No one is here. I had called down to the police station last Thursday to report it, and then that's when Lieutenant Trigg came there. He spoke to me and the crossing guards saying that they were going to bring the cones to do the work, and no one has not been there, so.
Captain?
Like Ms. Moore said, I mean, she spoke to Sergeant Quick when she called, and Lieutenant Trigg went up there. The police department has been up there working with the Board of Ed. We can't put an officer there all the time, but we're doing the best we can. We have available officers put up there to assist the crossing guards. And like I said, the Board of Ed has stepped up as well to improve what's going on out there. And we're doing the best we can.
There has not been a police officer up there, and that's why I'm saying why I say Officer Trigg should be here at the meeting sometime, so the message from the city and to you can really get together to know, because like I said, I'm there every day to pick up my child from school, so I'm telling you, there has not been a police officer on that corner yet, except when I called, and that was when Officer Trigg came there. That was last Thursday. Then he said, okay, no, it's not going to be a police officer here every day, like you said, and that was where he was to come back with the cones and put in the center so there would not be any turns to cause a situation.
We have crossing guards covering all those corners, as we spoke before. We can't put a police officer there all the time. We have an adequate amount of crossing guards, and when we have an extra officer to go up there, we send them up there. And like I said, the Board of Ed is working with the cones, with the police department to make it better. And it's running a lot better than it did a year ago.
But the police department never brought the cones. That's the situation.
Captain, when we can we get some more police? We can spare some more police. Can we get some more police?
We have available officers to send.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, okay, if you don't have any available officers, there must be a lot of crime in New Brunswick going on for not to have an available officer, for the first 15 minutes? But like I said, what's with the cones? They still haven't, okay, you don't have an available officer. What is the situation due to where he said he was going to bring in cones, where that way the crossing guards can just put it there, no turning?
Okay, so there's no cones there?
No, there's not. And like I said, I spoke to the Board of Education and they responded very quickly to do what they had to
Did
do first thing.
Lieutenant Quick said they were gonna,
Yes, he did, due to where he said the same thing. They don't have, couldn't take any chance of having an officer there every day, and that's when.
Captain, did you see about talking to the lieutenant about the cone situation? Thank you. We're gonna work on this.
Well, like I said, how long, what this has been, what over, how long they keep saying they're gonna work with it? Like I said, the Lord lets me see things for a reason, because I speak up to what, like I said, so I won't see a resident or a child get hurt.
We understand, and we've asked the police to take a better look at it, and Captain Miller is gonna do that. Hopefully, next meeting, you'll be a little more happier with that.
Okay, and then my last question, that's where, is there something going on with the system with Joyce Comer and Charles Street? Due to
What
where,
system?
where I know they just fixed it and it was doing so good, I'm just concerned, why have they been having cones on the sewer, the drain, the sewer?
We doing work there, anybody? Mr. Valenti? Yes, please.
The work is completed specific to relocating the water main and the sanitary main that went through the culvert. It's my understanding the last two issues with cones had to do with the sanitary sewer, actually. So I believe they're going to report it to, we had to report to Public Works. They're going to jet the line that goes down Joyce Comer towards downtown. The issue is not with the storm sewer, which is the water coming down the Mile Brook. So I'm saying the issues with the sanitary, which the DPW is going to jet for us.
Thank you, Mr. Valenti.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
My name is Xavier Franco. I live at 175 Renton Ave, New Brunswick, New Jersey. I got one question. I never seen an officer when over there at Livingston Ave, like she was talking to you before.
Right.
And I just wondering if, when I called yesterday, a desk sergeant, that there was a guy with a knife on Renton Ave.
Right.
The desk sergeant hung up on me 2 times. I called 2 times and I was telling him that there was a guy on Renton Ave with a knife on his hand and tried to beat another guy.
So you called the Brunswick police and they hung up on you?
Yes, they hung up on me 2 times. And
What time did you call, sir?
it was around, I don't have my phone on me, but it was around like 6, 7 o'clock at night.
6 or 7 o'clock at night, and what day did you call?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yeah, and I was wondering, sorry, Lieutenant Trey, he works in traffic, and just wondering if, I was gonna say that I went to court, and I didn't go to trial, but I had to feel guilty because of what, he didn't want to bark with the prosecutor, so it was intentionally, and I don't know what to do with it. I'm sorry.
I don't know, what are you speaking about, sir?
I'm talking about, I went to the high school, dropped my friend, and he saw me at the high school, and he gave me 3 tickets. He thought I was a taxi driver, which I wasn't a taxi driver. And I went into court, and I just feel guilty because he wouldn't, I went like 3 times there for, and I didn't have no choice. So and now he sees me on the street, doesn't bother me. I drive, with my family, and the day when I came to court, he was laughing downstairs, smiling, and everything, Lieutenant Trent. So I don't know what, Mr. Captain Miller can talk to him, or, because they sent me a letter saying that I filed a complaint against him, and with Mr., what's his name, Detective Hudson.
Right.
I filed a complaint against them, and I lost the complaint. Well, I lost. They took their side. They didn't take my side. So I lost. they always take the police side of the story, you know, because they're officers, actually. So they're not gonna take my side, they're gonna take the police officer's side. So I just wonder if we can tell Mr. Miller they should, you know.
You should take your side.
Yes. I don't know,
I don't know how to comment on that, except, you know, I'm sure that Lieutenant Trigg, he wouldn't give you tickets for no reason at all. And as far as the court system, you have the right to fight the tickets if you wanted to fight the tickets. And as far as the internal investigation against him, I mean, that's a police matter that we're not entitled to get involved with, according to Attorney General guidelines.
but then why he was smiling after I left the court? After I felt guilty, he smiled. He went downstairs, acted like a tough guy, he dressed with his white shirt and everything. Just, you know, I don't appreciate that. That don't, you know.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. He was gonna say something, I don't know what he was gonna say.
Captain, did you want to say something?
Every time
I don't want to air out Mr. Franco's dirty laundry, let's say, for a court thing, but he did bring it up. I am aware of the summons he received from Lieutenant Trigg. He was given a summons for operating an illegal taxi, dropping off at the high school. Not going into the details, but the fares that he had were interviewed and the probable cause existed to issue the summons. Mr. Franco went to court and pled guilty. There's really nothing else to say. There was an internal issue as well, which I'm not going to discuss, but he pretty much summed up now.
My question,
Yes, sir.
my question is, sorry, one more question.
Yes.
That's it. My question is, why every time I want to get in touch with Mr. Miller or with the police director, I can never get in touch with them. They always say
Captain Miller will give you his number at the office right now. If you want to have
I try to talk to.
He's easy to get in touch with.
I can't even get in touch with him. I only get.
I just said, he'll give you his phone, he'll give you the office number.
But I talked to, what's her name? The secretary? I don't know what's her name.
I don't know, they have a lot of secretaries there, I don't know.
The police director.
Secretary?
Yeah, I talked to her. She doesn't let me speak to him directly, and I try to get in touch with. Even I call the, what is that called? The 732-745. 5014, I think, down at Public Work. I get in touch with somebody there so they can tell me if I can talk. I can never get in touch with him. I try to talk to the mayor. I can't get in touch with him either. It's just, and then I get so frustrated, get so mad.
So when you call the mayor's office, no one calls you back and says?
Well, I talked to somebody in the mayor's office, when it's some employees, I don't know who I speak to about it.
And then the mayor never calls you back?
No, I get a call from someone else, you know. You know, I don't get directly from the mayor, I get somebody else calls me back, you know, when I speak to them. But anyway.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good evening once again, Charles Cradaville, New Brunswick. I want to say it's great to see the Environmental Commission have a representative here and give such a thorough update. It's great to see the council members asking questions about items, even if they're not on the agenda tonight. And it's great to see the water director paying close attention to what's happening in Flint, Michigan, because I think that is actually the single most important story in our country right now. And you know, by the last count I read was 10 people have died from Legionnaire's disease, and dozens have been you know, suffering from it. And so I need to ask, you know, if that's going on in Flint, we need to look at what happened in New Brunswick. And can you tell me, in the past decade, how many people died of Legionnaire's disease from drinking tap water in New Brunswick?
Do you think we have that information available today? Would anybody know if, go ahead, anybody want to take that? I mean, Mr. Crowder, I mean, go ahead, sir, stand up.
I can't take a stab at that. I mean, I wouldn't know the statistics.
Yeah.
However, and it's not just me. I mean, it's my entire staff. I'm the one that stands here and talks at meetings. It's the people that back me up down at the treatment plant. There was an outbreak of Legionella in the greater New York metropolitan area, if you recall, this summer. And we were forward thinking about, hey, just in case, let's check it for Legionella. Our treatment plant and our system is not prone to the production of Legionella. That's often involved when you have large aerators or you think of like hotels with cooling units, where air and water mix and there's the potential for mold to grow, and Legionella can form in situations like that. So, well, Legionella, we're okay.
Okay. Through the chair, can you ask the business administrator, please, if he recalls an incident in 2008 where several people died of Legionnaire's disease at St. Peter's Hospital in New Brunswick, New Jersey?
I do recall that. Had some information on that, yes.
Yes.
Okay. And we don't know how many people died?
You said how many people died from drinking our water, was your question.
Was the cause of was the cause determined to be water?
Never brought to my attention that was the cause. They were concerned with their air conditioning chillers. They superchlorinate water, our water, as it enters their system. There was never ever any evidence suggested to me that the New Brunswick water system was at fault.
Okay. And how aggressively did the city look into whether it was the water that was at fault?
I think we did. I think we did the right thing and communicated with the hospital people. We have been testing for Legionella leaving the plant ever since. That has not been an issue ever before or ever since our testing. I have no reason to believe that the unfortunate passing of individuals at St. Peter's had anything to do with New Brunswick water.
Thank you.
Okay. I think it's very important that we look at the connections, the similarities, and also the differences between what has happened in Flint, Michigan, and what's happened in New Brunswick, and I'm going to be exploring that in some articles on New Brunswick today. And I do suggest that you read one of the better newspapers in New Brunswick, the Daily Targum, has posted a editorial today connecting the two situations, and the thing that they found in common was corruption. Of course, a city employee was covering up the problems with the water for years, and he's now pleaded guilty to a second-degree charge of public corruption. Of course, I think it's plain to see that what went on in Flint was a horrible atrocity, and that certainly corruption is maybe even an understatement for what happened there. So the thing that I notice in common is that we have situations where a problem happens, whether it's a deliberate or an accidental problem. A problem happens, and then certain people in the power structure learn that there's been a problem, and there's been either falsification of records, which is a crime, or also that maybe the public had been put in danger. And in both Flint and in New Brunswick, similarity is that certain officials had that information, but they did not share it swiftly with the public. So I would like to ask, if you can ask, on July 15th, the Environmental Protection Agency began a sanitary survey at the New Brunswick Water Department. Can you please ask the business administrator, at that point, when that sanitary survey started, did he have any reason to believe there had been falsification of records?
Mr. Lockton, do you remember?
I don't recall. We had been working with the DEP all the way up into their administrative order, which was issued in November, so I can't say for certain. We obviously, as I've said a number of times here, I've answered every question Mr. Cradaville has posed for the last 2.5 years on this matter, but we self-reported the turbidity issue. We worked with the DEP that entire summer. They came in and wanted to look at records for a certain period of time. We provided those records. Their final conclusion that was of course that some record keeping was not maintained well, that there were falsification of documents by the licensed operator. I believe they referred the matter to the Division of criminal justice in the AG's office, and they did an investigation. As we know, Mr. O'Rourke pled guilty to a second-degree corruption of public resource charge, but the process took the entire summer of 2013 to really reveal what had gone wrong at the plant. So specifically to July 15th, I'm sorry I don't have an answer, as I said here at the moment.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I don't mean that as a dodge of the question, I sincerely do not.
Understood. So can you tell me at that juncture, did the business administrator have any reason to believe that the public had been put in danger? That perhaps, people had drank bad water, been distributed bad
I
water?
don't think it's ever been determined that bad water was consumed. I think the DEP conclusion was that they did not know, based on the information, whether or not the public was put at risk. We put out a number of public notices which dealt with that subject, so I'll let those notices speak for themselves.
Okay. And so 2 days after that sanitary survey began, the city council passed 2 emergency procurement resolutions, one to conduct a CTA and the other to conduct a CPE for the water plant. These were characterized as an emergency, and they were adopted by the council on July 17th, 2013. Can you tell me, Mr. Council President, did you or your colleagues on the council have any reason to believe that there had been falsification of records when you approved these emergency procurements?
I don't really know that. I would say no. For me, I didn't know.
Okay, so
Anybody else want to answer?
So as of the time you passed these things, these emergency expenditures, you don't believe you knew there had been falsification records. Did you have any reason to believe the public had been put in danger at that point?
I didn't.
July 17th. You can fast forward to.
I feel like I'm on trial here, Mr. Crowder. This is some kind of court thing going on here.
A crime was committed. A crime was committed.
It's not by us.
Okay, that's what I'm.
We didn't commit the crime. The guy pled guilty and he's gonna go to jail or whatever for it. We didn't commit the crime.
Respectfully, though, you did pass the emergency procurements, and you didn't. Did you know what you were passing at the time? Did you know the severity of the situation, or did you just?
Respectfully, keep going. Do you have any more questions?
Yes, I do. So on August 30th, the EPA sent the water director at the time, Frank Marasha, a full list of all these problems here. So it was not just turbidity that the sanitary survey revealed. I think we'll see here that there were also issues with the NB Water Department failing to continuously record residual disinfection concentration, failure to maintain a chlorine residual, failing to have a detectable residual, violating the total coliform rule, failing to collect samples that were representative for that compliance with that rule, failed to monitor alkalinity for disinfection byproducts, and there actually were some issues that we have in common with Flint insofar as high lead levels were found in interior paint chips that were sampled at the Home News Road tank and the Van Dyke Avenue tank. We also saw that there was no customer chain of custody on file for lead and copper monitoring conducted for 2009 through 2011 in there. So...
Finish out this time.
Okay, so when this was sent to the water utility director, presumably he shared it with the administration right away. Can you confirm for me that as of that receipt of this document dated August 30th, that then Mr. Laughlin, did he have reason to believe there had been falsification, and did he have reason to believe the public might have been put in danger as of that date?
I read the EPA sanitary survey, which revealed all of the violations that Mr. Cradaville just spoke of, and I shared it with the appropriate individual. And the DEP administrative order came out 2 months later, and I think rehashed all of those same violations.
Okay, so last question. When Mr. Laughlin says he notified the appropriate parties, who was notified?
Well, I, of course, shared it with Mayor Cahill. I don't know when we, it is possible that we put it on our webpage for the public to see. I'm not sure of what date that was. And quite frankly, I'm not sure if I shared the document with council. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I'm not sure. It's 2.5 years ago, but I'm trying my best to recall, obviously, the key events of the time.
Okay, so.
Okay, that's it, thank you, Mr.
So
Bradley.
just to finish up my comment is
No, that's it.
that I am very concerned.
Okay.
This is unacceptable, that it could come to the attention of a high-ranking official in the government, as high up as the mayor, that there had been a falsification of records and the public might have been put in danger, and that information was not immediately shared with not just the council, but the public. That's the cover-up. That was the cover-up. The public was not notified until November 13th, I believe. Apparently, as of August 30th or 31st, the business administrator and the mayor were aware of it, and they apparently the business administrator doesn't remember whether he even told the 5 elected people up here. You should find that to be unacceptable, and you should never accept that again. And the people certainly will not accept that here in New Brunswick. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cradible. Anybody else like to address the council?
Hi, it's me again.
Hi.
So I have this, what I think is a great idea, and I don't know who to talk to about it, but in New York City, schools become places where enriching activities happen after school hours. And they're able to, I guess, leverage tax dollars to open the facilities and pay for whatever permits would be necessary to provide after-school activities for both kids, or like myself who has no kids, I just want to play basketball maybe one day in the school in Rutgers Village.
Yeah, we have it.
Oh, I can?
Talk to Mr. Blevins, he can talk to you, see that guy, raise your hand, Mr. Blevins. Talk to him after the meeting. You can tell him
All right,
all about it.
awesome.
Yeah, we have
Thank you.
programs in most of the schools.
Really?
Yeah, YSS.
Yes.
How's your 3-point shot?
I will challenge you to a 3-point shot.
We don't remember that.
Thank you, that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else like to address the council this evening? Anybody else like to address the council? Anybody? Seeing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Escobar.
Yes.
Council Vice President Fleming.
Yes.
Councilmember Garlotti. Council President Egan.
Yes.